Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name is Charles McGillivray, and as always, I'm joined by Jess Keble and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. Please remember to follow us on social media and on all the platforms to ensure that you get your podcasts as soon as you can. But yeah, thanks very much. How are you two doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, good. Now the blood pressure and the heart rate's dropped back down, mate.
Yeah, it definitely, definitely pushed a few buttons that game, didn't it?
My God, yeah. This seems to be a common thing now, doesn't it, against Bath?
Yeah. I think you can look at it two ways, though, to be honest with you, because you can look at it as like pure wow, what an entertaining game, and wow, this is it's tremendous to see they get the league go backwards and forwards and tries and all that sort of stuff. Or you can sort of have the view which I've got of that game as a individual thing of, if that's rugby, I don't want anything to do with it. I thought it was abysmal. Like I just, first of all, they send a weakened side that devalues the Prem. It should have been first v second best game of the season. They send a weakened side, it instantly makes it a bit shambolic. And I know we did exactly the same the other way around, but I disagree with it. I think it devalues what should be an amazing spectacle. Second of all, like, if I want to watch scores that much, go watch basketball. Like, there was zero physicality in the match. The defenses was optional. Like, I just thought it was. I left really sour. I just thought, this is supposed to be one of the big adverts for the game. And yeah, from a neutral, if you don't understand the players and who they are, and you're just watching it as an sort of an interested spectator, then fine, it's a bit end to end, but it's not. That's not the game of rugby union. That is something else. I didn't enjoy it at all, not at all.
No, I wouldn't call it enjoyable, but yeah.
But you know what I mean. Even from like the heartstring moment of, oh God, we're going to lose it. We really need to win this. Like, it was just a try fest. There was no real aggression or physicality or big defensive moments. It was like, you've got the ball, you score. We've got the ball, we score. There wasn't like huge phases of pressure or big defensive moments or. Yeah, I just really thought it was rubbish. I really did. That's the way the game's going. I have no interest in it.
That you're looking at it like I would as well, from a purist, though, aren't you? Been going for years and years, and you want to see rugby. I know what you mean, but for someone, if that was their first game, that would be like amazing, wouldn't it? It'd be like, wow, that was so close, end to end. But like you say, for the purists that love to watch the game and what it's all about, it was a bit. Yeah, but as you said, they sent a so-called second string, and we nearly lost. So it says a lot about their squad, and I thought their lads played really well. I don't want to say this, but I think a draw would have been fair, because first half we were absolutely dominant, and then the second half we just didn't play rugby, and it was just like, what the heck is going on here? And fair play to Bath for fronting up, and some of them lads might have put their hand up to be in that Bordeaux squad for this weekend coming, but it did not do the heart any good. I didn't dare look at my Garmin, because that tells me my heart rate, and I was like, I ain't looking at that, because I was probably panic. But it was absolutely mental, and we got 5 points. That's all we got to look at. Remember, history books will show 5 points to us, 2 points to them.
It will also show that we love scoring exactly 41 points. That's the third time in a row. we absolutely love that number. Like, it's crazy. That's the exact number for both things. But yeah, it's a difficult one, because like they said, I don't blame them for sending their second team. Like I said, we did the same thing, so we can't really, stones in glass houses, etc. And I suppose I don't want to go as far as say it devalues the competition, because I don't feel like it's like the Prem's fault or Bath's fault. It's just one of those of like, we're not, because we're in a different situation to like some of the Irish clubs and the French clubs, of like competing on two fronts is really difficult in terms of like, squad numbers, like both of our squads have got really good depth, but like even then we know it from last year, like we really only competed on one front. So I think, that's the kind of situation in Europe, and obviously it's a big semi-final for them. So like, I don't blame them, and I totally get it. And like I said, they nearly did a job on us, but I'd also say they still had some really good first teamers in there. They still sent a few along with them to And I think those that, like Miles Reed, for example, like totally led from the front, was good for them. But yeah, it was just a strange game. But I also do think it shows that like genuinely on the day, you really couldn't call those fixtures between the two teams. Like it makes it exciting from that perspective, I suppose. Like if it is us versus them in the Premiership final, I could not tell you what would happen. Like I don't know if I could realistically pick either side as a definitive or a favourite. Like it really feels like completely 50-50 of like someone's going to win in the last minutes of the game. And so I don't know if I'm looking forward to having to see potentially a repeat performance of that. But it's kind of weird at the moment. I feel like our A team isn't firing, and I'd also argue that having watched Bath the past few weeks, I'm not sure their A team is firing on complete fronts at the moment. Whereas both teams, B teams, seem to be loving their times off when they play each other. But yeah, it was that second half. Like I still don't understand how we won. To be honest with you, like that's the worst 40 minutes of rugby I've seen them play all season, bar none. Even when we lost to Bristol quite badly, I still reckon we probably didn't play as badly as that in some areas of the game. Like it was just, and Douse was really honest about it afterwards, right? Of like, yeah, we know we need to work on the defense. I was like, yeah, but people are telling you that for weeks. So I wonder what their decision making is at this point. Like, are they? I feel like we're so close to the end of the season, and they're just going to ride it out and really hit it hard in preseason as something to focus on. But they need to do it now if they want to win a title.
Yeah, but he also said that they spend as much time on their physicality and on their defense
Yeah,
as they do their attack. He said like the most comment they make talk about is physicality, and it just completely disappeared. Like you
yeah,
said, fair play to Bar, completely fair play, and it's the same thing that happened when we went down there. You send a weakened team, and all the shackles get released, and these really
mm,
talented players came with a game plan, and they went out and they did the best they could do, and they did a great job. And they've got incredibly talented players. If you're second string
yeah,
player at Bath, you're not a bad rugby player. You're a very, very good rugby player, right? And so to be in the platform to go out there and do it, shackles off. They really play well, and they have a particular game plan that box kicking, etc., really direct, not a lot of width at times. They take it up the guts. Real fair play to them. No qualms with that at all. The performance at all. I
yeah,
do think and I criticise us for doing the same thing of sending a rotated squad in the Prem. I think that just doesn't sit well with me. But that's, like you said, not really their fault because it's just needs must. You've got to look after these
yeah,
guys. But
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Also,
but
like you said, that there's more rules these days as well as now around like minutes you can like. Sometimes your hands are just forced in certain situations. Like, yeah, it's just the modern game, isn't it? So I suppose the critique would be about kind of the way that the kind of modern game structures itself, as opposed to like blame laying at the, like you said, like at the actual feet of teams.
yeah, but I also think though, if Bath had sent their first string team, we would have played just differently. Like there is a mental
Yeah,
piece with our team whereby when we seem to be dominating on top or we're suspected to win, there's just a lack of intensity, a lack of physicality. It's like they can get themselves up for the big moments and the big games to go into that level of physicality, that go into those dark places to put the performance in that they need to put in. But when it comes to that
mm,
scenario, it seems to fall apart. And I think I haven't watched it back. I watched it live, but I think somewhere in the
yeah,
commentary, Ben Kay said that Saints almost seem willing to accept that they're going to concede because they just know how good their attack is. And let's be really honest, some of the attacking play was sensational. The
yeah,
Ollie Slide's home
100%.
try, the hands to set them
Yeah,
up were just insane. And the Freeman winner that should have been a winner before we decided to crumble again was that was an amazing try. Freeman for the last 20 minutes was just sensational, and Litchfield was like he was in so much control of that line break. It was unreal. The composure. He was like having a conversation as he made the break. He
yeah, it
pointing
was. Yeah,
and he, like just yeah, the attack, the backs and the attacking play. Finn, Dingwall, Freeman, and Litchfield, they just were sensational. You can't.
yeah.
There's no that I like to see. I want to see attacking rugby. I just would like to see some physicality and some defence and
Yeah,
some absolute aggression in the game again.
it feels like kind of the danger sort of what I've been saying about Bristol, of like that's almost like Bristol's model of like they have such confidence in that they can score more points that like defense is almost left as like, well, you can do it if you feel like it, and that kind of feels like we're falling into that. I also feel like that's a really key part of sort of why, in my eyes, Bristol haven't quite pushed for, they haven't been able to push, because they'll come up against teams that can outplay them, and we're kind of, I suppose, lucky in a way that I still think like out and out we've got the best attack in the league. So I suppose I can understand why they've got that confidence, but like you probably will get caught out at some, like, I know we've, we can go through and say, like I said, you're right, it's 5 points, we've only lost one game the whole season, which is actually a ridiculous stat when you consider how far into the season we are, like 1 loss, 1 draw, like 12 wins. But it's felt for a few weeks that we're sort of riding it, and that it's going to come back to sort of hit us at some point. And I mean, who knows if that will happen or when that will happen, but I'm kind of glad, for many reasons, like I've said before, that there is no game this weekend, because maybe they just need a bit of a moment to just kind of like decompress from it a bit and like take a bit of time off before coming back and really trying to figure out, what it is that's kind of going wrong in those elements. But yeah,
the problem is we and I said this to you guys, I think last week, we don't, or in the text, we do not do well when we're favourites. Like, we were favourites, but then when they sent that team, we were overwhelming favourites. I think the bookies said by 19. So like, we never play. We always like to be the underdog, don't we? I look at Leinster, look at all these games where they've gone Saints, they've got no chance. And what I also don't get in that game is, I'm not going to blame the coaches, but the coaching there, because Bath's strengths under the high ball and counter attack back, and we just kept box kicking. They never knocked on one ball. Kick it to Muir, he ran blooming like 20 meters every time, and I was like, and they kept doing it to us. And I'm not the one. I'm not saying you two do. I'm not the one to pick out players, but my days, that game just highlighted how much we're going to miss Ferbs, because I'm not blaming the Ginger Ninja, but I don't know how many knock-ons he did from box kicks or restarts. I would have swapped Tommy there, because it was just like, oh God, every time he knocked it on. He's brilliant in the wing and running, but the high ball, I don't even want to look at the stats. I don't know how many times we didn't regather a restart or a box kick, because they just hit it to him.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was so obvious, and it's like, oh, I just felt sorry for him, but it was just like, oh.
Yeah, it's so hard with a player like that, because we know what he can do. Like, we saw it 2 years ago. We won the title because he came on and he basically single-handedly got us over the line. And like, he's done that in other fixtures since. Like, we know what that guy's capable of when he's on top form. That was just like the most off days I've seen for a player for a while. And like you said, you just feel really sorry for him, because it was like, and I had a look at the kind of comments online afterwards. I always head to Reddit and have a look at the comments afterwards, but like, you could like see it physically, like the confidence just disappear. Like, you could see it in some of the passes he was trying to force, the fact that he stopped attempting to actually compete for the ball. It was like he just would slap it back but wouldn't really look at who or if anybody was there. Like, it was just, and like I said, the performance was not great in that second half from everyone, so it's not his individual like fault or anything like that, but it was just such an off game. And like you said, you feel really sorry for him, because I kind of agree. I think maybe the wing is where he should be, and I feel like either they should have swapped Freemo and Hendy sort of earlier, or you bring Hutch on earlier, because it felt like poor Hendy, bless him, it was like I said, the confidence had just disappeared, and it was all over his face and all over his body language. And also, don't forget as well, he's just come back from an injury. That was a decently significant layoff, I suppose, like not super duper long, but long enough that he's got lots of strapping on his leg, and he knows because he talked to it about us when we interviewed him, that he knows that his in the air stuff is what he still needs to work on. And it's just everything on that day just conspired against him to just work against him, unfortunately. And yet, like I said, we know what he can do when he's on form. We know he's better than that. He knows he's better than that. Everybody does. But it does have a bit of a question mark over what they do next year, because at one point I thought, maybe they go with Hendy and Pater and they see what happens. But I'm still kind of, after that game, really, I'm sort of left with the thing of like, perhaps what like a Hendy needs is like at least maybe a season where there's not so much pressure, and so maybe signing a 15 for a season might be the best option. But I know that they said, I think Tommy Vickers said there's more signings to come. Who that will be, who knows? But yeah, it was just like you said, like there are other players that have had games like that, right, that have had issues with like confidence, and McParland had spoken honestly about that game that he had that went essentially bad in every aspect, and he kind of improved since then. And there have been other players like Ferbs after his, not recently, but he had that time with England that totally knocked his confidence. It took him so long to get back to what we know from him. Like Ollie had those issues, and he said after the game, didn't he, his fitness is not where he wants it to be yet. Like he's not fit, and he's just working on getting back there. And sometimes that I think just affects. So I've got no doubt he's going to come like back from that stronger. But oh yeah, you just every time you just watch it and thought, oh god, you just felt so sorry for him.
Yeah, I didn't want to single. I don't want to single him out. I'm not technically blaming him. I just mean I think the coaches should have just stepped in and said, "Look, Tommy, you go to fullback." And I was calling for Hutch. I was calling for Hutch 25, 30 minutes because we were doing nothing in attack, and it was just like we need a bit of spark. And that boy's got the hands of we watch him every week. He's the most underrated player in the Prem. And to bring him on with 10 minutes to go, I just thought that was just pointless. To be fair, but yeah, I'm not trying to single Hendy out. I was just saying it was just. Bath saw that he knocked it on, and they just kept hitting the ball to him, and he just kept doing it. And like you said, his confidence went bang. That was it. And once your head's gone, you're forcing it, and it's just like just take him out the firing line, put Tommy there. And Tommy took one, boom, caught it, and that was it. It's just one of them days, wasn't it?
But that's the thing. It is a coaching thing, because I think they go at it from a completely wrong mindset. Right? They've got this obsession now that because of the law changes, the attacking player essentially has the advantage because they can just jump up one-handed and they just have to try and tap it back. And so they've got this obsession that they'll counter that by they'll just try and jump one-handed and tap it back, right? Because it's not just Andy doing it; they're doing it across the board, right?
Yeah.
I think that's not what Tommy does, right? And to be fair, Tommy is the best player in whatever position he plays. So I think. Yeah, okay, Furbank's our first choice 15 without a shadow of doubt, but the next best is Fremo, right? The best winger is Fremo.
Yeah.
Argue me, he's probably the best centre we've got, right? Because he's just a world-class player, but he has the ability to go up, hands above his head, and claim the ball. He dominates the space. He's got incredible hand-eye, and he can go up like an AFL player and just take it above his head, and therefore he's not trying to compete with one reaching one hand because he's matching them and he's getting up there. What you need, the thing is with this obsession of trying to win it and tap it back, it's the wrong mindset. Go out there, own the space, own the air, take the ball. It frustrates me so much when they're trying to. It's like it's watching bloody basketball with a restart, isn't it? Jumping up and trying to tap the ball to your side. Just catch it. There's plenty of times in the game where. There's some people aren't even challenged and they're still trying to tap it back. Just catch the ball. Right? And if you get beaten to it, then you get beaten to it. You've got to deal with that. But go out there with the confidence. They don't do it in any other scenario of their game. They sort of, we'll try and play a percentage and try and play it safe. Go out, own the space, own the air, win the ball. And if you're up there early enough and you're competing, you can't be touched. If the opposition player coming in recklessly, they cannot touch you if you're in the air and you're owning that space. I just think we've gone down such a weird route with the way we're trying to counter it.
Yeah.
And Andy's a big bloke. He's a physically big bloke. He's a good athlete. He's got a good spring in him.
Yeah.
There's no reason he can't get to the levels that Tommy is in terms of going up there and winning the ball. And that's what they should be trying to do. I just think. Yeah, they've gone down a weird route, which happens in the game. We've done it plenty of times.
Like you said, they're not the only team that do this. Like the amount of times you see people just trying to tap it back now, it seems to have just like you said, the rule change. Just means that. But it's such a strange one, isn't it? Because like you said, you feel like you don't want to complain about 5 points, but it was pretty abysmal. And I think some of the players were, pretty honest about that afterwards. About the kind of like the feeling sort of after that game. And I'm sure it would have been a very interesting post-match review today, because I think they have those on Mondays, don't they? So I'm sure it was an interesting one where they've probably, although it's a difficult one because like I said, they know what the issues are. Like we can all say them as well, like defense, the line-out seemed to be okay because we just threw it to the first jumper, and we just, like I said last week, we needed to just take all of the jeopardy out of it, and we did. I think the one time that we tried to throw it at the back, we lost it. So we very quickly reverted back to just chuck it to the first receiver, which was obviously Kemeny for a while. That it's just the safest option until you figure out, or until you get a Coles back and you figure out what's going on there. The restarts are still appalling. I don't even know how they even approach trying to figure that out. But then at the same time, it's sort of like we are still somehow finding ways to win, and it kind of boggles my mind because I'm genuinely not sure how. I'm really unclear how we came out of that with, like you said, with a minimum a draw, if not a loss, because of how badly we kind of were in that second half. It's like we reverted, and we did it against, ironically, Bath when we lost against them last time. In that second half, it's like we reverted to, well, we need to rather than extending this lead, we need to just maintain it. We need to keep it. We need to like defend it. I was like, no, you need to do what you do best, which is keep pushing, keep trying to score more points. Instead, I think, and again, this is nothing against McParland because he's been in such good form up to this, but the amount of times that he would get the ball and then he would just box kick it away because it's almost like trying to stop them scoring points instead of going to score points. And that I think that's kind of what contributed a little bit to our loss against Bath and almost in that one. It's such a strange. I mean, I'm not saying that's not necessarily the wrong thing, but it certainly for sort of two fixtures against them in a row sort of hasn't quite worked the way they probably wanted it to. Like I said, it probably also is like if you're going to box kick, it's all right if you've got somebody going up for it, but we're not quite, other than Tommy, like you said, we're not quite competing in the air the ways that we'd want to. So it kind of almost makes those box kicks redundant.
It's a difficult one
it's a weird one.
because they won the territory game without a shadow of doubt, right? And there's a chap who sits near me and he comes up with some quite strange things at times, right? Some things like, come on, Saints, just get the ball, and go on, Saints, push at scrum time, real like in-depth conversations, from this point. And then, but, statements from this way. But he was one of the fans who was like, oh, why are we kicking this ball? We need to keep the ball. Well, we're in our own 22. This isn't under 11s rugby whereby the player, first of all, they don't know how to kick. They don't understand the territory game. They don't really understand the sport, right? And therefore, just having the ball is a big thing. This is elite level professional rugby where, if you're in your own 22, the likelihood of you running it out is slim, right? The most likelihood is you're going to get turned over and concede off the back of it. There is a huge element of the territory game being important. And I think sometimes it's like we chase the game and it seems counterintuitive to kick the ball back to them, but you've got to turn that kick into a valid territory game with a good chase, good aggression, good defense when you get up there, and try and turn them over in their territory. Because just firing it around aimlessly in your own 22 when they can put everyone up as well and really fill the line. You're never going to get through them. They're not going to compete. So there's a lot going on. The concept of let's just keep the ball and have a go is really it's above that level of understanding that. But
no, exactly. It's just so I was going to say you're about box kicking. Box kicking works if you have chasers. We would just aimlessly kick it like we did when we were like in relegation years, where we were just going, we have no idea, just kick it and just hope. And Bath are renowned for just running. You saw some of their blokes, like Muir. I thought he had a brilliant game. He was running everything. He's an absolute. And that Bayless, my God, I haven't seen Bayless live. That boy has got some legs on him, hasn't he? Crikey, he ran down Sligo for Christ's sake.
I think Golly did the sensible thing in that one because I was like, surely, because he looked like he wasn't backing himself and he was thinking it was that confidence thing. But I think he was actually smart because even if he started to pull away, which he possibly could have, all Bayliss needed to do was tackle him into touch.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he did a really sensible thing of staying in, and we obviously scored off the back of it. But live, I was like, ooh, that's a bit tasty, that race. And then surely Ollie could have backed himself. But when you look at the angle of it, actually, and when you look back at the
and then
highlight, he did the right thing.
You do add in his comments after the game where like he said in his interview, I'm not fit. I'm not the level of fitness. I think someone had said that's the first time he's played 3 games back to back in over 2 years, in like 2 years or something like that. Like, he'd had ankle surgery as well. So of course, like, the speed level is going to be affected. It would be, weird if it wasn't. But he was very open and honest of like, this is nowhere near my peak level of fitness. Like I haven't got there yet. But then when you couple that, like you said, Bayliss has actually got way more speed than people give him credit for. Like, it did make for a really, like you said, a really tasty chase in that moment. Like it was fun.
It's been fast for a while. He's played a fair bit sevens, I think, as well. But Ollie's one of the actual positives I thought from the game.
100%. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Like because he got a good run out. He looked, he he sort of unleashed the pace a little bit at times. He, got a couple of tries. I think, yeah, he was one of the actual positives. Getting 3 games
Yeah,
back to back out of him
yeah,
is
100%. Yeah.
lining up nicely.
Really important as well when you think about, like you said, like the fact that we're not going to have to diary back. Ram is injured, like he's going to have to feature over the next over the run-in. So yeah, I thought he looked really, really strong, ball in hand. Like you said, the pace is not there, but it's getting there. Like he was definitely quick. Like the speed is still there. He can still work on it. And like I was like, if that's what you like when you're nowhere near your top level of fitness, then I don't think we've got too much to worry about. To be fair, I also thought he put a decent shift in defensively. A couple of tackles he missed, but there were like 2 or 3 that were sort of right in front of us, monster tackles that he put in. So he was trying.
An absolute beast of a man. Like when
Yeah,
he
100%, yeah.
he was just outrageous. He puts his head. He's as good over the ball. Like at his best, he's as good over his ball as half the sevens in the league. He's so aggressive as well. Like yeah, like
we need
they're
that. We
different
do need
wingers,
that in
but
the
I like
squad.
everything about him.
We do need that in the squad because there's not a lot of players that have got that aggression. See, Ollie will literally start a fight by just looking at somebody, and he doesn't mean to. It's just that's just his mindset. He's like, I'm winning. I want to win this game, and it's always
also
either him or Pollock now that are involved in the scuffles because he just seems to have that little edge on him, and you need it. You need that.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's like just his face. Like that guy could score the best try you've ever seen, and he would not smile.
You see his picture. You see his picture when they do the team. He looks like he's just been. Yeah. He's just someone.
Comes up. He's thrilled. Yeah, it's so funny every time.
I can imagine his wedding photos. Bless his wife. I was like.
Luckily, to be fair, I do follow him on Instagram. Luckily, he looked incredibly happy, so at least he managed for that. She imagine his wife probably had a talking to him. She's like, "Not that face, please." Like, but you're right. He was a positive, definitely.
It's a great thing to get him back and getting there because he adds another dimension, and he's one of those like dog of war in the sense of he will go to battle for you, but he will also chase every lost cause and make something happen. Do you remember? Jess might not, but so I will. The Rob Howley try for Wasps in the Champions Cup or Heineken Cup back in the day,
what you mean.
Where he literally chased a completely lost cause.
It's Toulouse, wasn't it? Against Toulouse.
Yeah, and managed to ground the ball before the defender touched it down, and like basically won in the the Heineken Cup. So like that's the sort of stuff when you've got someone like Ollie in your team, stuff will happen because he'll put pressure on. And he'll make things happen just by pure desire and will and aggression. Yeah,
have you seen his try? Have you seen his try slow motion that the Saints did, where he scored it? And it's the first time. I know he's obviously his dad's son, but it's the first time I looked at him and went, he looks a spit of his dad. The way he had his head down, his face is just like, that's John. That was John. His face. He just looked. I was like, the determination on his face. I was like, John's back on the wing.
It's because he's sort of aged a bit, hasn't he? Like. Obviously, when he was an 18-year-old kid making his debut, he was, a lot more slender and like a whippet, right? Now, when John played for Saints, it was obviously at the later end of his career and probably lost a yard, but was just like Ollie is aggressive and physical and real competitor. And as Ollie's got older, he's morphed more and more into his build of his dad. It's there's lots of different types of winger, but I don't. There's always space for that. He's not 6'5" and he's going to win you balls in the air. He's not that winger, but he's a phenomenal finisher. Like the blindside break from the line out where he ran over a hooker. Like he's gonna get you those sort of finishes and he's got the pace to burn and everything and aggression and chase. The real positive. I thought Kemeny was a positive as well. I thought he had his moments.
Yeah,
your boy, he's been absolutely outstanding. And then I don't want to. The line out went downhill the second he went off. I know he swapped hookers as well, and there's not a diss to Robbie Smith, but the throw-ins. I'm not blaming him. It's not always him if you don't lift the right man at the right time. But line out was poor.
It's timing as much as sort of everything, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's off for whatever reason, but. Yeah, it was just like the weirdest game, and it was like the second game against them in a row where I'm going to put controversial in quotes because I don't think there's anything controversial about that penalty. But let's say the second game in a row that it ends on a quotes controversial penalty. I think only one is controversial. And that's the one we lost.
I'd actually call it karma because we shouldn't have had Pollock sent off for the other one, and it was actually a lawful penalty. There's no way. I saw it, I was like, that's a high tackle. Like I could see, I just saw the arm, the swinging arm, and everyone was like, oh no, it's game over. Poor attempt to drop the ball. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, nah, he'll review that. Pierce was about to. You listened to the ref link, don't you? Pierce was
Mhm.
like going to blow the whistle, but he said, I can't blow because TMO said I need to look at something. Miles Reed was in his ear. You got to blow the whistle, ref. And he went, we've got to look at this. He went, it looked fine to me. It was in the ribs. I was like, look at that again, mate.
Yeah.
All day
To be
long.
fair,
And no
it's-
offence to Bath fans. They're all like, oh, that was never. It's a penalty. It doesn't matter. It's a swinging arm
No,
to
for
the
sure.
head. Doesn't matter where
I-
his head is.
The swinging
don't
arm's
blame-
irrelevant, but it's contact with the head, so it's penalty.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
all right,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
And-
But it
and
was
to be
still a
fair,
swinging arm to the head, yeah.
There's a lot of like level-headed Bar fans online that like it's a penalty. If it was the other way around, we'd be screaming for it. Like, and you would be. But it's also one of those like you get Miles, you get it from Miles Reed. Like, he's the captain. He wants to get that draw at the end of the day because that's a win for them, I suppose. And he knows that that goes against them, and we will score it because it's in front of the posts, right? So you get it. But Luke Pearce was right. He was like, and he was very calm with it. But he said, if this was the other way around, you would want me to look at it, and so I'm going to look at it because that's his job.
Yeah.
That is
I didn't want to
his
bring him
role.
up. I didn't want to bring him up like Charles did last week. We did so well not to bring the ref up, but he was way too pally. Like with that, you don't listen to ref league, do you, Charles? But he was like, Miles, you're not going to like this, but I'm going to have to give them a penalty. I was like, it's not your job to say that, mate, is it?
That's my view of Luke Pearce. Full stop. Is he's way too pally and friendly, and he's a good referee. But
no, this was it. I think I jinxed us, so I'll take it. I said, when I saw who the ref was, I went, for once, we've actually got a decent referee. And I went, I bet you I've jinxed us here. And give him his due. He admits when he's done wrong. But the problem is he doesn't rectify it. There was I don't know the rule he was on about. There was a bit where their scrum half was right up in our face. But apparently there's a law change to do with where the scrum half can stand at a line out or scrum. Wasn't sure which one it was.
Can't go past the tunnel now.
Yeah, but he was like, oh yeah, I forgot that new rule. I was like, well, you're the referee. You're telling the players that you forgot a rule. And then there was another one where he knocked on and he went, oh no, sorry, that wasn't a knock. He gave us the scrum, fair enough.
Yeah.
He said, Saints, putt forward, putt. But he was making these mistakes and then not always rectifying them. And I was just like, I thought you were one of the better refs. But he was, like you said, Charles, he's way too pally. You don't say to the opposition captain when he's about to lose a game, I'm really sorry, Miles, you're not going to like this. Sorry, it's the rules. It's a penalty to Saints. Go back behind the post, let Finn kick it, and that's it. You're not his mate. You're there.
Yeah, and he's not there to orchestrate entertainment either.
No.
He's not there to speed the game up or anything like that. He's there to
He went down in my estimations now of the referee quad because he made so many mistakes. He did rectify a few, but nah.
To be honest,
that was a big game, big points for the league, and he was literally doing I would call it like the old Wayne Barnes show, where he used to making it about him. And I know you're not a massive fan anyway, Charles. So yeah.
He doesn't bother. I'd rather every day of the week I'd rather have a pally one than someone like Carly that's so rude to players that you might as well not have a captain on the pitch because he's so disinterested in speaking to you. Like I'd have that over that.
That's a fair
every day
point.
of the week.
And
at the end of the day, like
Carly me and Charles can ref better than Carly
can. I think my issue on the day wasn't, to be honest, wasn't really with him. My issue, as always, because it always is when it's tempo, was as a TMO. But like I don't blame like Luke Pearce from going to the TMO and following what the TMO says, but he gave him way too much leeway to make decisions in my mind. Like the amount of things that happened on the opposite side of the screen, and he'd ask the TMO and the TMO would clear it off, and I was like, no, you need to be going up there to have a proper look at that because that's your job. And I think there was a lot of things that were cleared off that shouldn't have been cleared off without a referee's sort of input. But like that last penalty, right? Like, Luke Pearce looked at that, spoke to his ARs, made the decision. I was like, that's really what you're supposed to be doing the whole time. Like, I get it's a trek all the way up there. It's not the greatest thing to have to do all the time, but it is your job. And I think he gave and I suppose that comes from sort of I think that tempo is one of my I think low down on the list in terms of level and quality of ref. And I think this, and I think the same in terms of him being a TMO as well. So for me, I was like, you shouldn't be giving him this much leeway to just fully make the decisions, which is what it felt like was kind of happening quite a lot of the time. Like, I don't really blame that for him. Like, different refs have different relationships with him, and he trusted his TMO, and that just is what it is. But I wonder how many decisions might have been decided differently if he'd made the trek up to have a look at the screen.
Yeah, that's the thing. Based on the end of the pitch, like it's that creates inconsistency. You're having a different person make the decision based on what end of the pitch it's at.
Yeah.
Right.
He actually said, no, he actually said a lot of times, and Jess will confirm this. He was like, "Tempo, it's down to you." So it's like you're making the decision. No, you're the referee. He's there to guide you, not help you. Like make your decisions.
Just trot along back to the big screen. Like, remember Wayne Barnes? If you had a Friday night game, right, you would never make the last train home because the pace at which Wayne Barnes would walk from one end of the pitch to the other was like, so time is off, but he's taking 5 minutes to make a decision, and half of that was walking because he just walked so slowly from one end down to the other, standing in front of the big screen. Right, is the camera on me? Okay, let me have a look at it. It was sort of, but yeah, no. The only decision that really I thought was, I think there's lots of things like that, and that's, you can always analyze a game and whatever, and we do that. The one for me that I thought live, and I haven't watched it back, which I cannot get over, is the Manny Iogun disallowed try. He grounded the ball.
What he said on the thing was, this was his explanation, was if he's gone down and his hand's still on it, it's a try, but it's rolled down to the forearm, and the rule is he has to have downward pressure with the hand.
No, he doesn't.
That's not the rule. The thing is, that isn't the rule. So he definitely had misinterpreted the rule, because I've seen forearm try scored across the league.
Yeah, but it's because he lost it
a lot of the time.
He lost
but I don't
downward
think
pressure with your chest.
I don't think
he never lost the ball. The ball was always in contact.
The ball rolling from a hand to a forearm is not losing possession. I think he got that wrong.
I'm not saying that's what he said.
I've also, I had a look at it afterwards, because there's a lot of talk about it online, but like Bath's last try, there's about 3 penalty decisions against him that should have gone. Like, there's a truck and trailer, there's a very obvious double movement where he uses his knees to propel himself. It's a terrible decision.
But that was, I saw that live.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, there's a truck and trailer that after the line out, one of the players is clearly in front of the lifter who gets the ball, so that's a penalty too. So there's at least 2 or 3 sort of things in there that I'm like, well, that shouldn't have stood. And you've even got, like you said, I go online and have a look, and there's even Bath players that are like, yeah, he definitely crawled across the ground there to make his way to the line. Like, he used his legs to propel himself. Like, it was kind of obvious too. And so you feel like, on balance, like, we probably still should have won, but you can't deny that sometimes the drama at the end of the match does make for a good spectacle. I'm sure people loved it, but I was just like, for God's sake.
And it had to be Pollock, didn't it? It had to be Pollock. It just had to be Pollock.
I got to say, like, normally it's very rare that like the comments around him rile me up that much, because I'm like, it doesn't rile him up, so I try not to care about it too much. Some of the comments from the Bath fans was just genuinely insane. Like, people are always done it on purpose, he's put his head there on purpose. I said, in the modern game, when players are aware of the dangers of a head injury, he is not putting himself intentionally in harm's way. Like, the fact that I have to say that, and that people were writing that he did do that, blows my mind. Like, it was like, he hasn't. They went, oh yeah, well, he ducked his head. I said, but you need to watch him play, because every time he gets the ball, he ducks into contact. It's just the way he moves.
Everyone
I was like,
does.
you want, yeah.
But
I was like, and they were like, they went, oh yeah, they went, oh yeah, he put his head like on his arm. I was like, you've all lost your mind. They were like, he knew what he was doing. He's done it on purpose. I was like, he hasn't. I said that we know from something like
red card.
Yeah, but we also know from situations as well. But yeah, it was just the fact that I was like, oh yeah, he's done this on purpose. I said a head injury could end his season, could end his career if it goes wrong. I said he's not putting himself intentionally in harm's way just to potentially buy a penalty for his team at the end. And it blows my mind that there's such intense dislike from out there that they're going to attribute this completely insane narrative to like what he did on the day. Because I think, for example, like when he was shoved in the back, he was so obviously shoved in the back. It's wild to me that wasn't a penalty. That wasn't him accidentally running into him. He clearly shoves him in the back. So I can't believe that he got away with that in the first place. But that's a clear, like I said, it's a clear penalty every day of the week. It's an arm to his head. But he hasn't put himself there intentionally to buy a penalty, because that's crazy. Like you said, you could get yourself knocked out. Like, you think about some of the
penalties from head contact are exactly that. A player is looking to carry the ball. They are ducking into contact, because you do lean forward into contact because you're trying to win the collision. That's how the mechanics of the human body works. And the person has gone in to make a tackle, and it's literally happening in the split of a second. People can't disappear or move their bodies that quickly, and therefore you get an accident. I don't think the player went to tackle his head, but that's not the rule. There doesn't have to be intent.
No.
And if he was bolt upright and he came in and tackled him like that, it's a red card, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's just a
just a
PK
penalty.
for that
He didn't
reason,
mean to do it.
Yeah, that's
Exactly
just
that.
people don't understand the laws of the game, and that's just the reality of our sport. Is you've had a huge
Yeah.
influx of,
But
we weren't selling out the stadium 14, 15 times in a row 2 years ago, were we? So new fans have come into the sport, and that's across the board because attendance figures are up across the board in the Prem. All
Yeah.
these new fans there's a huge percentage of fans going to games are new to the sport, and there's a different influence there, different approach to the game, different way of acting, different understanding of things, and that's where you get
Yeah.
stupid comments like that. And
But the
the
thing is,
sport needs to be
those
better at
comments.
dealing with that
Yeah,
stuff.
the thing is, some of those comments are coming from, and this isn't anything against them. Like, I get that things run high and they've just lost a game in the dying minutes, and but I'm not saying that emotions don't run high in that situation, but you've even got like sort of Bath fan commentary accounts that have been going for years and years and years making these comments. I was like, you just sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist. I said he's not putting himself in a position intentionally to get knocked out in the dying hope that he gets a penalty for his team, because nobody's going to do that, because you aren't going to, we just had like Ferbs had to sit a week out because he got a HIA. Kermini got a bad head injury and had to be off for a few. Like, no one's putting themselves through that intentionally because they want their team to win a game. Like, nobody would ever do that. I get that you dislike him. I get that people dislike him for whatever reason. But I was like, at some point, you need to take a step back and think, actually, I sound a bit silly here
These
in
are
this
but
moment.
it's all
freaks. That's
but
not their
like
mindset.
No,
no,
no.
it's like Sal said. It's literally if you played, you'll know as you go to take a hit, you duck because it's harder for that player to tackle you head or body wise. So your head's down and it gives you momentum to dive forward. So you just brace in contact. So he's not going, I'm going to stick my head down here and hope I get a penalty. It's just ridiculous.
No,
And
But like you said,
that's not.
it's just
it doesn't
sour
work like that.
grapes. No.
It felt the
But
same to
also,
me a
can I
little
just
bit.
mention one more thing about Pierce
Mm.
before we go? He was I don't know, you would have heard this. He said, right, when they do tap penalties, because Bath have been renowned for not tapping it,
Yeah,
Dylan who
yeah,
did
yeah.
it. He
Yeah, we
said,
did it
right,
before.
we spoke before the game, you must tap it and not dummy. Their first one, they did tap it, but they dummied first, and he called it back. And I was like, well, you've told them that. That should be a switch. It
It's a
should
free
be a free
kick.
kick to Saints.
Yeah,
But I think
And
Dummy's
the
a free
problem the
kick.
problem that he had is that one of our players also strolled
Yeah.
offside technically. So I think he just felt like, and understandably, I think he was like, right, well, there's two sort of situations here where they both made a mistake. So I kind of do like understand that. But he had to keep reminding, not the dummy because they didn't do any more dummies, but he had to keep reminding them, didn't he? Make sure you tap it because they seem to,
But
Bath
it's
seem to have
also-
short-term memory in terms of remembering that rule. It seems to be.
Also, the restarts, like they were taking forever, and he would time off. Like, why are you letting them do that every time? If they've done it twice after you've warned them, give us a penalty. They were
Yeah,
wasting time.
That's a free kick. Yeah, but that time wasting is a free kick offence. So
Free kick, sorry, yeah, not pen, yeah.
What are you stopping the clock for? That's
Yeah,
not
he's like, come
that's
on,
not what you
Bath,
should
you
be
need
doing.
to,
But
you need to get
here's
up
your
there. It's like,
conspiracy. Here's your conspiracy feeling though. Like there, like you said, the try where there was the double movement, etc., and all the issues. Like part of me does think that Luke Pearce is a promoter and a lover of the game of rugby, and part of him thinks his role as referee is to influence the game, so it's fast and it's entertaining, and etc., and it's whatever. And so part of me, even if it's consciously or subconsciously, thinks Luke Pearce lets stuff slide because he thinks it's better for the game and the entertainment factor. Like, oh, it'd be great if Bath scored now. I'm not consciously, but like, yeah, that's great. It's a try, amazing. But
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he necessarily does it like for tries, but he definitely does it at the breakdown. 100%
Yeah.
he does it at the breakdown. A case of like someone goes slightly off their feet or they slightly do this and he's willing to let it go. And I'm not necessarily mad at that because we probably benefited from that as much as much as things. But yeah, it's one of those where, yeah, he's always been a big proponent of like keeping a game fast and ticking along and moving. Like he's never kind of hidden that. So yeah, it is one of those sorts of things of. But yeah, I don't know how they missed those for the try, to be honest. But it's just one of those. It's one of those things. But I think
you answered the question there, though, didn't you? Because you said that at the breakdown, you're pretty confident he lets stuff slide for the benefit and the entertainment of the game.
I think you can even hear him. He's sort of, rather than penalise. And to be honest, I think a lot of refs do it. Instead of penalising something for someone, they'll tell them like, no, you need to get off the ball or you need to do this because they are unwilling to stop the game. I don't think he's the only one that does it. Like,
No.
I think a lot of the refs have turned into almost like coaches a little bit, where they'll shout, no, don't do it, get your hands off, you can't do this, you can't do that, etc. Because maybe it's like a mandate to keep the game moving and ticking along. So they've almost become coaches in a really weird way. Like
Not
there's a
his job,
lot of
though.
shouting. No, it's not just Pierce, it's all of them. There's a lot of them will shout instructions at people and tell them what to
Yes.
do and what not to do because they don't want to stop a game. And so yeah, and I don't think that's just him. I think that goes kind of across the board at the moment. Actually, that the amount of times that you hear the rest telling a player to stop doing this or stop doing that, I'm like, well, it should just be a penalty, but they don't want to do it because they don't want to stop because they don't want to this, that, and the other. And
It blurs
yeah,
the lines though, doesn't it? Because it blurs
yeah,
the lines.
100%. Yeah,
That though, you know, if there's a case of, oh, can I do this, Rev? Am I allowed to do what I'm doing whilst I'm slowing the ball down? And can I do this? I'm really trying to work with you. I'm slowing the ball down, but am I allowed to do it or not? But the referees then go, I don't want to stop the game, so let it play on. And so in their mindset, there is this idea of let the game flow, make it entertaining, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then does that bleed into decision making around pick and go tries, around line out plays where, you know, because they don't want to stop the game. We know, I fully agree that exactly what you said, they definitely do it around the breakdown. So if they're definitely doing it down the breakdown, can we say 100% sure they're not doing it in other decision processes, whether that be consciously or subconsciously, right? But because they've blurred the line of it's not just a penalty because you've offended, it's, oh, we're going to let you that off, we're going to tell you what to do, and we're going to coach you on the pitch, like you said. It makes it a difficult job for them as well, because when do they allow it to play on? Where do they not allow it to play on?
I could give you an example. There was one because of the ref link again. Pollock had got over trying to get the ball. He had his hands on the ball. Pierce said he let Bath carry on. He said hands off, and then Pollock asked him why, and he went, "Oh, the reason why I let that." He said you'd won the ball, but he said your 12 didn't release the tackle early enough, so technically it was a Bath penalty. So I said, well, just ping us for not releasing the tackle then. What's the point of
I think
trying to win the ball,
thing though.
win the ball, and then not get the chance to take it because they wouldn't let him have it. He was holding on, but he said no. If your 12 had let go, I'd have given you the penalty. I was like, no, that's not your job. Ping us for bloody not rolling away.
But I will say that Pollock probably loves that it happens like this because he's a massive benefiter of it. Like out of like all of the players in our squad and probably quite a lot in the Prem, like he's a massive benefiter from the fact that they'll let things go because he just tries for everything. It basically means that he tries all the time. I think that's why he gets so many turnovers, because a lot of the times he does it right. But even on the situations where he does it wrong, or maybe someone else hasn't rolled, like he's slowed that ball down. So for Pollock, he's like, perfect, I've kind of got what I wanted. I wanted to slow the ball down while I'm having this quick dialogue with the ref. Like he's a man, he will be one of those that's like a massive benefiter from the way that's kind of going. But it doesn't mean that the game necessarily is as a whole. Like
don't get me wrong, like slowing the ball down is actually really needed in the game of rugby, because attacks can play so fast now that if you everything is in the attack's favour, then you end up with a basketball game like we saw at the weekend, and that's not the game of rugby union, right? So it does need the balance of allowing a bit of skullduggery and a bit of it, but also if you penalise Dingle for not rolling away in the scenario that Simon said, well, the players will learn pretty quickly. I need to get out of that space.
Yeah,
you know, and so you go, oh, I don't want to pin them because I don't want to stop the game. You stop the game a couple of times, the players will learn. Whereas actually, what you've taught Dingle there is I can stay in there a bit late as long as we don't compete for the ball. We can all just lay on the ball a bit longer and slow it down.
Yeah.
So because he doesn't want to pin it. So there's pros and cons, but officiate the game. Don't worry about entertainment or whatever. Just officiate the rules as you see it. That's all you can do.
Go back to what Jess was saying. I was watching a podcast. I can't remember it. It's Aussie, so you might watch it, Charles. He was an Aussie coach, and he was saying that exactly what Jess was saying, that the refs are coaching players now. He said, I don't coach my players at the breakdown to then get the ref to tell them differently. He said, they need to stop this. You hear it. You hear players go, ref, am I all right? Am I all right? It's like, no, he's not your coach. And he said, they've got to cut this out of the game. He said, because it's pointless me teaching them in the whole week up to the game if they then ask the referee if they're allowed to go in there or they're allowed to do this. It should just be straight down the line. I'm having that ball because I'm allowed to. It's not the ref going, no, 7. It shouldn't be happening. The refs just go,
I mean,
offside,
in my mind,
penalty.
But also, how many times do they literally get the ball when they're on top? Sorry, Jess. But how many times do you see a case where the player is over the ball, they've legitimately got there, but the referee's late to the breakdown or whatever and doesn't know how they've got there, and so just tells them to release it. But they should be getting a penalty because they got there first. Exactly the same thing happened in Lichfield try, the Lichfield yellow card at the weekend. He did infringe. He slowed the ball down. He went from the side, right? But he did infringe.
Didn't
Yeah, he did infringe. But Pollock got on the ball first. Pollock should have got a turnover before any of that happened, but Luke Pearce was still catching up with play and didn't see it, right? And so you can't blame Luke Pearce because he's not as fast as Will Muir. Like that's not to be expected, right? But you know what I mean? It's like you can be completely in line with the rules, but the referee will still go, no, release it, or pin you for something that's happened afterwards because they've missed it, and that's just part of the sport as well.
Yeah, it is a bit of a bit of a mess. I suppose the benefit for us is, I mean, obviously Sarri's won, so maybe not. I don't love that, but both Leicester and Exeter losing for us is a benefit because it just means that, you know, if we do lose one of the next couple of fixtures, we're still sort of all right in terms of the top two spots. Like there's a good, is it a 10-point gap, I think now between first and third? Yeah, 10 between first and third. So, you know, yeah, we played absolutely horrendously, but at the end of the day, we got 5 points, and the two teams that we sort of needed to lose lost. So I certainly can't, you know, it's helpful from that perspective because I don't know what the Leicester fixture is going to be like, but you've got to assume that at Welford Road, that's tough. I'm not saying we couldn't do it because I didn't think we'd do it at Exeter, and we did. But, you know, that is a tough, right? You've got to assume that out of, I'd say, all the remaining fixtures, that's probably the one on my list. It's like the highest chance of not winning. So it's just a benefit to have gotten, you know, the 4-point gap over Bath, you know, the 10-point gap over third. You've got to figure that 1 or 2 more victories and we're probably already solidified for those top two. So you definitely can't complain. But like I said, like people said, like getting top doesn't win you anything. And if we want to get through knockout rugby, there's definitely got to be some massive improvement. So I think genuinely there is a bit of a benefit to not playing this weekend. Like, you know, it just gives them time to kind of, I think some of them maybe do just need a bit of a step away for a bit and just decompress a little bit and come back a bit more mentally rested. You know, maybe that's sort of a little bit part of it. So
I just need to highlight one thing we haven't mentioned, and it might have cost him a couple of games. As I think Mr. JJ needs to have a word with Callum Chick for kicking practice because he kicked that ball and then popped his knee or something.
To be fair, it's not the kick. It's not the kick. He got tackled, and his knee bent under him. Because someone else put online, they were like, "Why did he kick that? He's hurt himself." And it wasn't that. He got tackled.
No,
but I got to say that
got tackled, would he?
Like no, but the interception was a thing of just enormous beauty.
Oh God,
that guy is just. But yeah, it's that as well. And obviously, was it Kundiona with the obvious shoulder injury? He should have been subbed when it first happened, to be honest with you. It was pretty obvious it was going to be an issue. And then the next scrum happened and he was like, I can't continue. I was like, obviously.
Of course he's got a stinger. He's got a stinger, hasn't he?
Yeah, it didn't look to me like, I think literally it was just, you could see him trying to shake it off and it just wasn't happening for that particular. I think I saw another game at the weekend, I can't think of who it was, and I think it might have been the sale. One of the players got a dead leg and just had to go off, and he's probably going to be fine, but you just can't, if you can't shake it off in the moment, it's obviously going to affect you. I think like I said, he got a bit of a stinger, was all right, but then it was probably all right until it literally was all right until the next scrum, and then obviously the pressure of it made him realise, it's still a little bit bit sore. But hopefully JJ's is nothing too serious. It's just like a twist of the knee. Like I said, again, look, we'd love to be in another semi-final, but it's the benefits of it, right? If JJ's all right for the next game and Kundiona's all right for the next game because he hasn't had to play, and some of the others are able to come back because they've had a weekend that we don't have a fixture missing, I can only really see the benefits that we'll reap from it as we get further into the Prem, as we get to the end 100%, of the Prem, I should say.
Yeah, I think bonus points will be key as well in that chase. You know, even if we don't win games, getting 2 points, etc., is a big thing.
Yeah,
you know, we've got 12 bonus points. Bath have got 14. You know, that's 2 points difference in terms of, and one of them was obviously us not putting them away and letting them back into the game and scoring 4 tries. So they took away 2 points that they shouldn't have had really against us. But if you get 2 points, say, and lost to Tigers, not that we want that, it's 2 points still that keeps things ticking along.
I suppose the way I think of it at the moment though is like the way that we're playing, I'm like, as long as we just get first or second, whoever it is that we end up playing, like perhaps, you know, I feel like, yeah, it's a great luxury to come first because, you know, there's quite a few teams fighting for fourth and it's going to be so close that you feel like, you know, none of those teams is necessarily fully standing out over the others. It's really close between them that you know, third and fourth below, like But but I also feel that like at this stage, like we just want to hold on and get one of those top two spots and get to a semi and just see what happens at that point. Like, you want to get first, but like people said, it doesn't get you anything. It doesn't get you anything specifically over second. So I think really the key thing is just But also at the end of the day, it was a 1 point gap to Bath, and now it's a 4 point gap to Bath. There's still a benefit to that. They said you get 1 or 2 points against Leicester, and like you're either tying them for points potentially, or you're still a point ahead. Like that, there's still a benefit to that. And I would argue their run-in is harder than our run-in from here to the end. I think they've got 4 quite difficult fixtures left, and we've probably got. And I don't want to jinx it because I think Gloucester had a really good performance at the weekend, and it seems like the magic of Boyd. We are fully aware of this. We see how that maybe is affecting Gloucester. But you would also argue that, like, particularly like Quinn's last up, that unfortunately for them, it's just not working. But you probably put yourself odds on to be able to get those 2 games at the end. So it's. But yeah,
It's not just
Who
that.
knows?
You've got to look about. I think the top 5 or 6 we're all playing each other at one weekend or the other. So they're all going to be dropping
100%.
points. So
Yeah, everyone's going to be.
I reckon a win
there,
or 2 would probably cement it. To be fair, being 10 clear of third.
Yeah.
I think if you beat Bristol and maybe you pick up a point against Leicester, that's probably all you're going to need to solidify one of those top 2. I mean, we definitely will go into that Harlequins game already having a top 2 spot if the results go our way, definitely. And that's always a nice thing at the end of a season to be like, oh, okay, this last fixture is actually.
It becomes an interesting conversation.
Pressure
yeah.
off.
Do you then
who do you
send a change side and get your first team prepping for the semi?
Exactly. You probably would do a Bath in that situation, like what they just did. But yeah. I mean, a week off it's not even just for the face, it's for me. I don't think my heart has another weekend in it right now. I think I need the 2-week rest. So I'm actually really looking forward to watching what I hope are 2 good semi-finals in Europe that I don't have any like interest isn't the right word, but I've got no skin in the game whatsoever. I'd say, like, on balance, I probably want Bath to win just because they're the only English team left. I'd love an English team to make it again and try and push for it. And Bordeaux lost at the weekend with a full-strength side, so who knows? There's maybe a bit more competition there than we thought. But other than that, like, if they do or they don't, I still don't have any kind of skin in it. I'll be pulling for them, but pulling for them and pulling for not Leinster. It's Toulon, is it? Toulon. Yeah, probably pulling for Toulon. But outside of that, I don't really care. So it would be a nice bank holiday weekend where my heart rate stays normal.
Yeah, just to comment on that, the JJ kick as well. I mean, that, like, every part of that, like, JJ on the pitch generally is just great. It's just pure entertainment, isn't he? Like, everything he does, carrying, tackling, not so much kicking, but everything he does is just like entertaining. When he intercepted that, like, like, mouth opened. I was like, what is going to happen here? Because it's going to be brilliant. And like, kicking it was hilarious. I mean, but I'd love to see what would happen if he just, like, put his foot down and see how far he could get up the pitch or whatever. But
you can tell he's gonna if he's not already gonna become like a fan favorite. Like when the replacement was made, the noise, I think it was louder than when
I said that to my mate. I thought, like, how unlucky. Like, Ed Prowse was. I thought like I said, the tight 5 were not the best, right? But I thought Ed Prowse had some good moments, and fairly good. However, how does he feel that when he walks off the pitch is the loudest cheer on the pitch?
And every time
he walks right in front of, because I sit behind the boys, and his face, he just looked really annoyed, and I was just like, that's really harsh, because it looks like it's like, we're bringing on the fan favourite, and you can get off. We clapped him off, but I think he thought we were still clapping JJ.
Yeah,
but it's just
there's definitely clapping. But it's but every time JJ gets the ball, the crowd picks up. Like, it's unlike anything. Like, it's like really them and Pollock, isn't it? Whenever either of them two get the ball, it's like the crowd just immediately react. They immediately respond, and I mean, like I said, the interception was absolutely glorious.
Do you not think he panicked? Do you not think he panicked when he did it? Because he's sort of like
100%.
I've got to run 80 meters now.
Yeah, he knew he wasn't. He knew he's not making it up there. So
that kick was the worst kick of all time. He just put it centre field for them to run it back. Like, it was an abysmal thing. Like, at least put it into the corner, not hook it straight into the middle of the pitch for their fullback.
He should have just kept it, shouldn't he? Like, he wasn't running so fast that he'd left the team behind. Like, God bless him, he's not the speediest, is he? Like he's decently, but like there's people can get to him in time to kind of help recycle the ball. But
all he had to do was move slowly towards the right hand side of the wing, and there would have been a winger supporting him. Like, just pin your ears and keep your eye on your right. There'll be someone there eventually with a bit of pace to finish it off.
I think it's something I said before, though, isn't it? It's like he is great. He's so fun, and when you watch him, like he will do something. But you're sort of right that like his sort of skill making, his skills like decision making in the moment could do with a bit of tweaking. But I've got no doubt that it will get better. And then like the specimen that he's definitely going to be able to come. He's going to be able to become like working with this team.
Do you not think he had memories of when he was he 19, where he used to run the 100 meters in 11 seconds?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
He actually did do that. I think it's 11 or 12 seconds or something when he was a pup.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what the fullback would have to do if he had to tackle him. Like that collision would be the most entertaining thing of all time. Like he sort of robbed us of it a bit by kicking it, didn't he? But it would have been amazing to see what happened after if he'd have tried to just pin his ears. But
how did the? I was going to say, how did the predictions go? Because I can't remember who did what.
Yeah, well, we all got the result. None of us got the margin. And you got the try scorer, Si. So you're 7-2 up now.
Bloody hell! I was the only one that got a try scorer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picked Mitch.
I had Lich.
Okay. I swear one of you had. I thought one of you had one of the four.
I don't know how we didn't have Freeman. That's just an absolute rookie error. I had the option of Freeman.
Yeah, I picked last as well. Should I get a bonus point for hat trick?
Yeah.
That's why.
No, I don't think we did pick last, to be honest.
You'd get a lot if you did, because Saints posted about how often he scored hat tricks. He's done it like 4 or 5 times in this season.
You picked second. So you picked ahead of me. Okay. So I probably was thinking I want Tommy, and then you picked him, and I panicked, and not really panicked because I thought Lich would have been just as likely to score to some extent based on the form he's on. But, yeah. No, I should have said Ollie. Obviously, I don't like. Yeah, I think if I'd have thought about it, and Ollie had been Ollie of sort of a few years ago, I'd have probably picked Ollie first anyway. So
probably not that far from being the first choice again, maybe.
Yeah. Get
a few more games under his belt, and
yeah. It's great to see.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, we'll have an episode next week where we look ahead to the East Midlands derby, and it'd be great to have the time just to talk about that one fixture and have a look at it. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So we'll finish this now, but yeah, I mean, like I said, if that's rugby, I'm not sure how long this podcast has got left in it because I've got nothing to do with it.
Nah.
It's still some of the tries we scored, mate, was still worldies, man. So you can still enjoy it. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was literally we were doing the old. You score 1, we'll score 2, weren't it? Basically, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, we just need our defense to rock up, and I don't know what it is because there's everything in there to defend. We've got all the components that you need to put together. There's a mental aspect that they need to nail down on. But anyway, let's not start another conversation and start going over that again. But anyway, thanks very much for listening. Please remember to follow us on social media and follow us on the platform so you can get your podcast as soon as we release it. I've been Charles, Jess has been Jess, Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much.
Goodbye, guys.